Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me on my journey of joy, grief, and authenticity. My name is Hilarie Houghton, and in this episode, I want to talk about how grief makes us a little cuckoo. I think the first time I recognized that sadness and grief was making me a little crazy was whenever Hollis was, it was during the last day or two of her life. And I remember thinking about it being really important to get her home and that somehow everything would be okay if we could get her home into her room. I even thought about ways we could sneak her out of the hospital, which is crazy. I actually think they probably would have let us just take her home if that's what I really wanted, but at the same time, my husband and I knew that she probably wouldn't make it the car ride. I remember being anxious about them taking her to the morgue after she had died, and I really wanted to take her myself. I wanted to be there with her body, and I wanted to be the one to cremate her if they would let me. I remember being really sad because we had cremated her, and how was God going to raise her from the dead? And that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. If you believe in miracles, you believe God could raise you from the dead, whether you're cremated or buried, it doesn't matter. I also remember being really paranoid about Jamin and I being apart. And I remember going to see some of my family while I was still on maternity leave and being with them for a few days. And I had a lot of anxiety about leaving the city and being away from Jamin. And I remember having a lot of daymares about people I love dying. Our puppy Maggie, I had dreams that she was drowning in the kitchen. I had dreams that she drowned in the pool, and that various ways that she died. And I had dreams that that Jamin died, and I would have anxiety for him to just answer the front door when pizza arrived. It was just anything you could think of. I was thinking of the worst case scenario. I remember some other crazy moments where I would feel Max laying his head on my shoulder. And I remember one time specifically laying in bed, and it was in the morning hours, and Jamin had gotten up to take a shower, and I rolled over. And then a minute later, I felt movement on the bed, and then I felt Max's head on my shoulder. And I mean, so much so that I turned around to see him, and remembered that he had died. And boy, like that's when you feel really, really crazy. I remember waking up in the middle of the night one time and feeling Hollis at my feet. And that was actually right after her death when we were back home and Max was still alive. And I woke up and I remember thinking, why would we put Hollis at my feet? This is so dangerous. What a bad place to put her. This is unsafe. And and she wasn't there. It was Max at my feet that time. I also remember searching for a cure for NKH, the disease that our daughter died from. I was really, really searching hard the first few weeks after her death, searching for a better understanding of the condition and what it means, what the body's going through, what it could take to find the cure. Does it only show up in girls? I don't see it in boys as often. Boys seem to live. What are these trends, and how can I make sense of these? And more so, I legitimately was looking for a cure, and it dawned on me finally one day that it didn't matter now if there was a cure, because it wouldn't bring her back. It doesn't change your longing for there to be, for this to not happen to anybody else again, but it did feel like I was starting to reason with myself a little bit. I remember another night where I woke up and told Jamin that Maggie was loose, and I heard her walking around the house, and I could hear her feet moving around, and he said, "What are you talking about? She's right here. She's right here in the crate." And I could swear that she was walking around and she was loose and it was dangerous and I was scared for her. And Jamin reminded me that that wasn't the case. If you have ever felt crazy from grief or a little cuckoo, I would love to hear your story because it'll make me feel less crazy. So go ahead and share if you'd like to comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and just know that if anything does ever happen to you or has happened to you and you experienced some things that just seem way out of sorts, it's okay. I think it's normal. It's okay for us to feel a little crazy. You guys have a great week, and thanks for joining me on this crazy journey of joy, grief, and authenticity.